Hi, I'm Andrew Rich, and if you're like me, you look at the state of modern wrestling discourse and think, wow, what a cesspool. That's why I'm here to tell you about Music of the Mat Remix. That's right, your favorite wrestling music podcast is back with a new format, where I bring on a guest and we play songs related to wrestling-themed topics. It could be a wrestling reference, a wrestling concept, a wrestling pun, things of that nature. Now you might be saying, Andrew, that is a very, very tenuous connection to pro wrestling on a wrestling podcast network. Is this just an excuse to hang out with your friends and talk about music and ignore the rest of the wrestling landscape? Yes. Yes, it is. So listen to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast player of choice.
Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-Star Match Game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney, and every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.
Hello, Flagship Podcast listeners. This is Joe, and I'm here to tell you that there will be no Flagship Podcast hitting your feeds this week. But that doesn't mean that there's no Flagship Podcast, period. If you go to patreon.com, you can listen to a subscriber-exclusive edition of the Flagship this week on our $5 tier. So do not miss your weekly Flagship Podcast, the best wrestling podcast in the world. All you have to do to hear this week's special subscriber-exclusive episode is head on over to patreon.com/voices of wrestling. Subscribe on the $5 tier and unlock 30 days worth of access. Or do one better and subscribe on the $10 tier and unlock everything we do, everything we have ever done, and everything we will do for the next 30 days, including today's subscriber-exclusive Flagship Podcast, where we cover a multitude of the hottest topics in wrestling, including Kazuchika Okada officially being announced as the final opponent for Hiroshi Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom, why Okada was the best choice, and how the key Wrestle Kingdom matches should be booked versus how we all know they will be booked. Miranda Alizé and Nixon Noel walked out of an AEW Collision. We will tell you everything we know and what we think of the pair walking out on AEW. TNA has learned that there is no escaping the Turnstile Monster. We discussed the real Bound for Glory attendance and what it means for the Slammiversary attendance several months ago in Long Island. Plus, TNA just cannot stop being TNA as we break down the TNA World title change as Frankie Kazarian cashes in to take the belt off of Mike Santana. We review Pro Wrestling Noah Star Navigation from last weekend. There is a new GHC champion, and we will tell you why the GHC title change came across as so disheartening and discuss the embarrassing NXT-ification of Pro Wrestling Noah. All of that and so much more on this week's subscriber-exclusive Flagship Podcast, available at patreon.com/voices of wrestling. $5 tier gets you access to this week's Flagship Podcast. $10 tier gets you access to that, everything we do, everything we have ever done, and everything we will do for the next 30 days. So come on over, consider a subscription, and do not miss out on this week's subscriber-exclusive Flagship Podcast.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
Hello, Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network listeners. I am Jeff Hawkins, co-host of Shake Them Ropes, with a very special announcement. If it's been a while or you've never listened to us before, The original gang is back. Myself and Rob McCarran back talking wrestling. We have no idea where this show's going to go, where we're going to keep any of the old bits or any of the old things in there. It's going to be a process. It's going to be a journey, and we'd like for you to come along with us. Only on Shake Them Ropes on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.